I see you looking at me. I do. And literally, I have tried to control my drink, and I have. And I've done a great job with it for a while now. But Southern Miss football, you are challenging sobriety to the utmost. I mean, when I'm watching us play South Alabama on a Tuesday night in front of the United States of America, and South Alabama has more penalty yards at a point in the game than we do of total offense, sobriety challenges are at an all-time high in the Kenny household. And I know I speak for a lot of households.
Yeah, check on your Southern Miss friends. They are not doing okay.
They're not. Now. They may look okay on the outside. They're not.
I thought it was funny because during the game, the game that we shall not mention from here henceforth, I had so many of your friends reaching out directly to me, like going, "How's he doing? Is he holding up okay?" And I joked it was almost like we'd lost a relative. Like they were calling like there had been a death in our family, which I guess in some ways maybe there had been a death in our family. But I joked with some of them. I said, he's out playing in traffic, which.
There were two people in particular, and I won't name their names, but all we do is text. That's all our relationship is texting. And then they call. They literally called me on the phone. I'm like, to check to see how I was doing. It wasn't even like talk about the game. It was to check,
see how you're
doing.
Well, it's funny, we often joke about, what we around this household term the Marshantigans, his antics and stuff. But he has his Anyone, Anywhere, Anytime program that he releases on Wednesday mornings, and this football game, for those that may not know, I'm sure everybody knows, but for those that may not know, was on a Tuesday night. So we had pre-taped as much of the show as we could, just to try to get ahead of it, because obviously the final production of that ahead of a Wednesday morning release takes a little bit of time. We knew it was going to be a late game, but by the third quarter, Marchant was so fired up and angry that he decided that the parts that he had pre-taped were just not pissed off enough.
I'm not salty enough.
He wasn't mad enough.
I'm like...
So he literally goes upstairs during the third quarter.
Do you hear the steps? I'm sure.
I actually took a little video of him just ranting upstairs, and I did send it to one friend who had reached out to ask. I know you didn't know that, but
she does so much she didn't tell me about. There's got to be video out there of me like, look at this guy.
It was only video that they could hear. The video was of me, but you were in the background ranting. But yeah, so he left the game during the third quarter to go upstairs to retape all of his parts of that episode because he just wasn't angry enough when he taped, which meant that we were up till like 3 a.m. finalizing that episode, which was fine because, again, everybody else was up till 3 a.m. still calling like we'd lost a relative.
My phone's going off till like 3 a.m. I'm like, y'all go to sleep. I'm worried about you. Are you okay? But no, it's one of those things, like I'm trying to find positives with Southern Miss football every angle I can. And I'm like, we're on a Tuesday night. This is great. The whole nation will watch us. I mean, it's a Tuesday night, only game on. And the problem with being the only game on that everybody's watching is that everybody's watching.
Yeah.
There's you can't change the channel. If you want to watch football, that's what you get.
I tell you, one of the most crazy, interesting, on one hand, kind of cool, on the other hand, absolutely awful things that for me, I observed that night was on social media, all of the other Sunbelt fan bases like talking about, like cheering us on, like, Southern Miss, what happened? You can do it. Come on, man. And I said it was literally like the videos of like the football teams where maybe you have somebody with like, physical deficits that, is on a team, and all of a sudden they let them run it in for a touchdown, and the whole stadium, both teams are like, yeah, man, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, I mean, that is a bad comparison, but it's almost what it felt like.
Because getting into this whole Sun Belt thing, the fun part was nobody in that conference that we're in right now could match our tradition.
Like, your history, yeah.
And our history, not even close. And now it's like, what the hell happened to y'all? Like, what the hell? It's literally, and I'm like, I don't know. And my South Al thing, I always joke with South Al. They don't like being called that. I literally thought of going back and deleting every South Al text I've ever made. It would take a week for all that smack talk because it's about 10,000 of them. But I thought of it.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of season left. I think that might just be the starting point.
We're just in the tough
of all your dirty deleting you're going to have to do.
We're just
all your smack talk.
The joy of this is we're just into the toughest part of our schedule. So, but we got to find some positives. We have to somehow, some glimmer of hope, and Southern Miss basketball.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know where I was going.
I thought you were sticking to football, and I didn't know where you were going.
I just can only, you want to talk about it some more? Well, we could.
No, really.
It was basketball. And I mean, I have never in my life been 7 games into a football season around the Southern Miss world where everybody's like, we got basketball. It's all good. Like when I say never, nothing against basketball. They've had some great teams, some awesome teams, but this was built on a lot of football stuff, this whole vibe. And I don't know anybody that hadn't switched the focus to basketball. Like I don't.
Well, I mean, at some point you got to just, you got to search for the positive, like you just said. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for basketball.
Oh,
I mean,
my
growing up in Kentucky, obviously, basketball was my first love. Even though my football has become my great love. But man, we actually had the opportunity. We talked about it on the last show that we were going to have the opportunity to go watch one of their practices, and we did get to go do that. And oh my gosh, I tell you, one of the coolest things for me in watching that practice. For one, they looked fantastic. I mean, just the speed, the urgency, the energy. But we laugh because those coaches have everybody moving at like Juan Cardona speed. I mean, and I don't even know what to call it than Juan Cardona speed.
That's fast.
So we were watching, and sometimes the guys are playing, and somebody will fall on the court, and of course they're sweaty, and you see the guys either with the brooms or the rags that will go and wipe it all up. Those guys moved fast. Yeah. Those guys moved. It looked like they were fast forward.
The equipment managers were like, I'll get fired if I don't wipe this sweat off right now. Like, we're like, it took our focus off of practice for a second. I'm like, did you see the equipment manager's sense of urgency?
Yeah, somebody would hit the hardwood, and you'd see 4 people just like, immediately on it. They were moving. I mean, I don't know if I've ever remembered seeing people move that fast, other than if they were playing a sport. But it was interesting. It just felt like everything
was just at a sense of urgency, which is kind of important in business and life and sports and everything you're doing, right? A sense of urgency. And that's kudos to Coach Ladner. I mean, who doesn't love the guy? I'll have him on a preview show coming up soon. And I was frank with him, and he knows this. I was like, Coach, you were on the hot seat before last season. And he's like, that's an understatement, man. I was in Hades, at least. And I was like, yeah, let's just call it what it is. But man, he delivered a sense of urgency like you've never seen, with Coach Cardona coming in, the La Familia. And I've joked so many times, like, if they would have told me you would have sold out a game before the season, I mean, you would have had to sell me hard on that. And sure enough, it got to the point the energy just sold out a basketball game. And it's coming to this season where even the exhibition game against Mississippi State, DJ Cujo, love that guy, is going to be there. We need him at the Rock, because I don't know who in the world's going to the next football game. I just need some instant energy. Put him in the middle of the student section, I've said, on platform, mixing it up, having like a remix with a fight song or something. I don't know. Seymour doing something. I don't know. Something, but basketball's got it. They get it.
They get it. Yeah. So. It's really, really going to be fun to see what those guys can do. And it was interesting because you and we sat there with, they had handed out a pamphlet or a piece of paper that had all the roster on it. And you and I sat there kind of watching them play and going, who's your starting 5? Man.
Ooh, I know.
It's, I mean, there's a lot of talent.
There's a lot of talent because, like, Austin Crowley is the premier player, the preseason Sun Belt player of the year, and an NBA guy. I mean, I think second-round draft predictions right now. And but, man, when you look at that backcourt with him, it's Neftali Alvarez, who his spin move, it's just like, how does a human being move that fast when he's on a fast break? And Mo's back, and Ivory, and all these guys, and it's fun. We got a 7-footer.
Yeah,
that's the coolest to me. I mean, like, you got a 7-footer. To me, that's a basketball team.
I tell you what, the guys that are coming back looked bigger, stronger, faster. I mean, you joked with several of them that they looked like they could play football.
I told AC, I'm like, what you been doing in the off season, man?
They look strong. They looked confident.
Yeah.
They looked uber confident. And then some of those newcomers, I mean, it's going to be an interesting season.
But once again, it's just, there's a message coming out of that basketball program when you talk to Coach Ladner, talk to Cardona. And even if they were winning or losing, everything they're saying, it's with message, it's with purpose, it's with conviction, it's with strength, it's with it. Somebody take some notes of what they're doing.
And they've set the expectation that they are going to
March.
Yep.
You know, and why wouldn't they when they're picked last in the Sun Belt last season? And Cardona's like, we're gonna win it, and we're all like, yeah, sure, dude. Well, we won it.
Yeah, the preseason predictions came out, and again,
fourth, third and fourth I've seen. Yeah, which is good considering where we've been. I mean, but that's funny. Like a year later, that's disappointing. Like Twitter, people are ticked off in Southern Miss. We're like, what? Third, fourth. There's some good teams in the Sun Belt. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, and it's never a bad thing to play as the underdog.
No, that's all we know. It's Southern Miss.
So I think that's okay too.
You know, I felt like an underdog when I first met you. No way she's gonna like me. No way.
Speaking of meeting, you know, one of the things that we get asked all the time, because, you know, people know that I'm not from Louisiana, which is where you're from, or, you know, Mississippi. I'm not a local girl. We get asked all the time to tell people our story, like how we met. We've never told that story here.
No, I mean, real quick, anybody want to know? So
it's not a real quick story, but okay.
Well, we'll try. I mean, this is probably part where many people are like the relationship talk, but
oh, it's actually pretty funny. Our
I think it is.
Pretty
I think it is. So I was married for 18 years, and you were married for
I was married for 15 years, but I had been single for, at that point, 12. I had been divorced.
Yeah, she was deep in the single game. I mean, people slide in those DMs for much longer than me. And I was 3 years about divorced. And but I was enjoying the single life. I literally was. And I'm like, this is just my way of life from now on. And I'm going to be a dad, a worker, a Southern Miss football fan, and single, just doing my thing. And
oh, he was doing a lot of his thing.
But then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know, some of the ladies in my life just aren't, they're not exactly what
Well, no, it started before that.
Oh,
So Marchant,
where she always fills in the blank.
Marchant traveled a lot more back then for his job. And so so we were both on dating apps. We'll admit that.
Back there.
You know, I know a lot of people don't like to admit that they're on dating apps, but honestly,
Tinder.
If you're our age and you're
success.
single and you want to actually meet somebody, you
Tinder success. I almost emailed them. Thank you, Tinder.
So if anybody has been on the dating sites, you know that if you open the app, it will geographically match you to people who are in your area, not to people who are in the area near your home location. Mm-hmm. And so Marchant, this was years prior to us actually meeting in person. Marchant was sitting in the St. Louis airport.
Had a layover in St. Louis for a work trip.
So he's sitting in the St. Louis airport and he opens his Tinder and we match. And I remember thinking, oh, this one, he's cute, you know, and your pictures were interesting.
Like, oh, Angela.
And we.
Oh, wait, no, I meant doing this because the left was the wrong. It was like, you're not left, you swipe right.
You swipe right.
Yeah, so I was going the wrong way there. So I was like, maybe before you. And then, whoa! Like, I was like, whoosh, off the screen.
If anybody saw his Instagram, you know he was doing a lot of right swiping, but I divert.
Well, wait, you know it's so funny? Jamie Aaron.
Hold on, let me set this set up, then you can tell Jamie Aaron.
It's so much to say.
So, he's in St. Louis airport, he opens his Tinder, we match. We both like each other. We start chatting. I don't remember if we exchanged telephone numbers back then, but I know that we became social media friends. So we became friends on social media.
I slid up in the DMs.
You did. And then we realized, or I realized, because he was in St. Louis airport, he did know, but I realized he was not a local to St. Louis guy. And I just said, at that point in time, I
was it my New Orleans accent that gave it away, maybe, baby?
I said, nah, I'm not doing the long distance thing. So, you know, best of luck to you. But, you know, this isn't going to be something that happens.
Yeah.
But we stayed social media friends, and we didn't talk for 3 years.
It was about 2-ish, 3 was 3? Because I was
think
newly
I think
divorced. It was
close-
probably right around
I'm
there.
pretty sure it's close to 3. So what did Jamie Arrington say?
No. The further solidify, like, you know, I was swiping right, sliding DMs like quite a bit. I must have been doing that for a long time, even before my first marriage. But Jamie used the name of my show,
Right.
Anyone, Anywhere, Anytime. And that's what I get for getting a stand-up comic on my show. So we start the show. Jamie's like, you know, Marshan, I appreciate you having me on Anyone, Anywhere, Anytime. And wasn't that your dating motto in the 90s? So, like,
It was a dating motto in the
single
2020s too.
The single stuff's been going on a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to see you go through those early years of being single again.
So any single, you got to get out your system, man.
Single girls do it too.
Yeah, you got to.
Unfortunately for you, my getting it out of my system had happened years before you got single.
Oh, you were so structured with your dating.
I had the
I'm
rules.
looking for this. he's got to have this. His hair has to be a certain way, and I'm like, ladies, you're a lady. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were different.
I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what I didn't want, and I, don't waste my time. And so when you said, I live in Baton Rouge, I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Even our texting when it started picking up a little bit, I would send you.
Oh yeah.
I thought you were about to delete me because I'm like, oh, let me reel it back in. Because I'm still ladies. Hey girl.
Right.
Hey girl.
What he's really saying is he'd try to steer the conversation, and I'd steer right.
Oh, it was, but I was going to weave.
I'm like, yeah, focus.
All right.
Focus.
All right, and that's continued in the. But the thing is, and then it got to the point, the build up, where we were eventually. I did it. I was like, we gotta meet. We gotta meet. I mean,
we were talking about meeting. So yeah, I had, after you and I initially met online, I ended up dating somebody seriously, almost marrying him, and then breaking up. I ended it.
How many times?
We're not talking about that. I
Wasn't
might
the
have
first engagement.
I don't know. People like to propose. But I had never remarried, but I did have a couple of times that happened. But anyway, so I got out of that relationship. Now I'm single, you're single. And that had not been the case for a couple of those years. And so you and I started chatting again online. We talked a couple times.
Jaded with the dating scene at that point.
Yeah, at that point you're
completely jaded. Yeah.
And so Memorial Weekend's coming up. It was going to be nasty and gross in St. Louis, cold, rainy. And I had gotten into the habit of traveling alone. I'd been a single girl for so long, and I just was like, all my girlfriends were partnered up. And so I had taken numerous trips on my own, and I just decided I'm getting out of town.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go somewhere. And I had isolated 3 locations, like 3 possibilities of where I was going to travel. One of them was New Orleans.
And 3 different dates, because you were going to go do, if I remember.
Well, no, this was before you reached out to me.
Okay.
So I was because it was Memorial Weekend that I was looking for. But anyways, I had decided I was going to take a trip. And I'm sitting at my desk. I'll never forget it. I've got my finger on my mouse. I'm trying to decide which of the 3 I'm gonna go do. And out of the blue, you and I hadn't chatted in 2 or 3 months at that point in time. You send me a text that says, "Am I ever going to have the chance to meet you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, here's what's interesting."
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I book a trip to New Orleans. He decides to come, and he was in Baton Rouge. He decides to come and meet me, and we were going to meet. We were going to meet and go to dinner. He was going to show me around New Orleans. And in my mind, like, there was no lose here, right? Because if he ended up being a douchebag, then I was already used to traveling on my own. I'd just have fun on my own. And if he ended up being great, I had a really handsome, fun tour guide for the weekend.
My thing, though, I had a vibe with her. I was like, I didn't really think you had tore shit up in a while. So I asked you, I was like, do you want to have like a date romantic type time, or do you want to have a slight shit show at times and stuff? And you kind of angled towards the shit show a little bit. And like, all right, which further, I'm like, I got a fun vibe, and this could be a lot of fun showing around New Orleans, my city, and it didn't disappoint. We're not going to give all the shit show stories. We're just not, but
it was a fun weekend.
We're in New Orleans.
It was a fun weekend. And I'll never forget, though, the the moment you knocked on my door, we were going to go out to dinner and go out to the bars afterwards. And you knocked on my hotel room door and I opened the door, and I tell the story and I swear it's true. I looked at you, and it's the only time in my life I've ever felt this, but I couldn't breathe. Like it was like I got the air knocked out of me. I could breathe, but I felt like I wasn't taking air into my lungs. It was just this feeling that I had just met somebody that I was just supposed to meet.
Similar feeling to that Georgia quarterback back in '96. So, but continue.
So yeah, we had a great weekend, and it was a long weekend, and because it was Memorial Weekend, and so on Monday I was supposed to be flying back to St. Louis, and you came to me and said,
when you were flying back to St. Louis. Oh, she was about to leave. I was thinking of the Georgia quarterback. No, I'm paying attention.
It's more of those Marshantigans.
I literally got lost. Remember if we did this, but So yeah, she was about to leave and call it a day, and I'm like, this is too awesome. Like this is the one, and this is where kind of this is going to go somewhere. You just know anybody been in kind of love that feeling, and so I'm like, she's about to get ready to go, so I'm like, hold on, don't go, don't pack, don't do anything. So I go out in the hallway, and I had my son the next day to get him. It was a plan. I'm a great dad. This had nothing to do with that, but I'm like, this is love, and so I called my ex in the hallway. I was thinking you can't hear, but I'm so damn loud, like you're not gonna hear me. And I'm like, hey, you don't understand that this is the one. She's like, whatever. And I'm like, no, can you keep the kids just one more day? I just need one more day with her. And she's like, seriously? She could see it on my tone. I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. And then the next day got even more funky.
Yeah, so you asked me to stay one extra day.
Yeah, that's you.
You said to me, I think we need one more day to kind of figure out what's going on here. And I stayed.
Yeah.
Had to call
She canceled the date that she had in front of me.
Well, I had a future date, when I got back to St. Louis. So, yeah, we turned off our dating apps. Yeah. And I canceled my date that was upcoming that week.
Yeah. and then just it progressed, and here we are. We're married. Yeah. And
I think a month later we were talking about what would happen, what would it look like if we were to go the distance. And 4 months later we got married in New Orleans. And we eloped. Yeah. We had talked about, we knew we wanted to elope. We had talked about going to the beach. And after talking about it a little bit more, we just were like, you know what? It all came together in New Orleans. I feel like we got to elope in New Orleans. Yeah. And so we got married in the French Quarter, and just me, you, the minister, the photographer, and a guitar player.
And that's the thing. Whatever your take is on New Orleans, I'm born and raised there, and I've seen so many beautiful sides of that city. It's the most unique city in America, if you ask me, by far. Just considering all the flags through the years that have flown, that have run that country, it brings an influx of people, but it brings so much character and just so much romance, so much. I mean, that's why we can't wait to ever get back to New Orleans when we get free time. And it's just, she saw my New Orleans that I love and that a lot of people love. And that added to just us. I'm kind of an extension in New Orleans, I think, in your eyes. I am.
Well, I love New Orleans.
Energetic and goofy and shit.
You do personify the city.
Kind of like this fun, free spirit, big easy, where you at, brah.
Not that big easy part like when you were dating.
I was easy for you. You literally, I'm like, are we getting to third base within 5 minutes? Because I'm ready. I'm ready. And you're like, no, let's go out for a little bit. Let me talk to you for a little bit at least.
Yeah. It took me about a month or so to shoo away all of the attention that
See, but the thing that was funny when we first started, so she had been doing the dating thing for a long time, and she's built up her structure. This is how I like things. So she's cleaned up a lot. I mean, we were just starting this relationship, and I mean, I was using Instagram to try to go on dates. I was using texting. I'm like, oh, okay, I got a lot of cleaning up, and literally, I was being good, but like, this is a lot of build up. You've already cleaned your stuff out because you've had time. I didn't have time, so like,
baby, you just had a lot of cleaning up to do.
A lot of cleaning up to do.
List it out. You had a lot of cleaning up to do, but you did it.
I did it.
Best
Except
decision.
The challenge of not drinking as much. That's becoming a challenge again. Because Southern Miss football. So,
well, best decision I ever made was to book that trip to New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And I certainly didn't expect it to turn out with me moving to the deep south.
yeah. Well, hopefully you enjoyed
Here I am.
that story where I brought a Kentucky girl who was born on Kentucky Wildcat SEC stuff and now in this SBC SMTTT. And it's been overwhelming, the love and support she's got, literally overwhelming. And I was so glad she sees that because that's a Southern Miss I know. That's why I'm so passionate about it. A lot of people knew my backstory, and literally when I played at Southern Miss, a lot of people were just nonstop. Come have dinner with us at our house. Come meet our kids. Like, it was just nonstop of that. And the nun who raised me, like, just loved the story, the nun son duo. And you've seen that.
Oh, absolutely.
Heavily. And it fills my heart up. But unfortunately, there is a minute, and this is Southern Miss fans of the nation. You guys I love you guys. Mwah.
The fans are the best part about Southern Miss.
Because we have fun when we lose. It's like, just, we gotta laugh, man. And but there's a minute portion, very, very, very small, out there in social media. And unfortunately, they love to attack for attention.
Yep.
And like,
I got pulled into it.
I am into
twice.
that open dialogue.
Twice.
You can open my social media for days. You know, and I don't even want to argue to the extent I always ended agree to disagree with the little handshake, you know. It's a beautiful thing. That's your point. I don't know why you have your point. Good, I love it. But
so, you know, I got pulled into it twice in the last week or so, which is disappointing. And honestly, it's a disappointment for me personally. In both cases, you know, I felt like I tried to ignore it until it couldn't be ignored. And then, you know, we fought back. And then, of course, you got to worry about, like, what does the fighting back part, how does that land with other, you know, fans, and do people judge you for it? And I don't know. It's just, I think that until you've been there, it's hard to understand, like, the sort of the no-win situation you get put into when you know, I mean, I'm an extension of Marchant. Yeah. Marchant is a well-known name in the community that, you know, around those two unfortunate situations.
Yeah.
And you know, you try to keep it all above board, but at some point, if people are going to continue to go low, like, you do have to some degree, fight back. And you know, it's unfortunate that it happened. It's unfortunate that, for me personally, I feel like I have been such a big promoter of Southern Miss. Certainly, I think that if you guys look back, you realize that you get a lot more of Marchant now than you ever did before, because I support it. I 100%
remember you told
it.
me, you're like, you need to be on Twitter.
Yes.
And I'm like, I didn't have a Twitter page, so I'm like, yeah, and like, thank God, look at this. This is so cool. This is like it's Southern Miss Twitter, basically, all I do.
And
Facebook.
Yeah.
And Facebook. And then Facebook, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen these people in so long. I was loving the, you know.
I told you needed a show. I told you that you need to go back and do more. And so, you know, I only have been positive and supportive in your giving back your time and talent and energy and money, you know, and to what degree we can, to Southern Miss. And so, you know, you guys can come after me, but truthfully.
And like I said, speaking to a very, 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 very small crew, but, and this is about as tough a woman as I've ever met in my life. And I'll let you do your thing. You battle back and forth. I don't even know what's going on. But when there's one every now and then, and I haven't done this. Like, literally, you look, I don't step in and be the champion for my wife. But when it's like, it's pretty low. They're lucky I only kept it to tweeting or whatever, because I know a lot of guys out there that wouldn't even tweet about it. They would, hold on.
I think
take this off social media. But I'm not like that.
I think that what drew you in the first time was that one of the culprits was somebody that at one point you thought you had a relationship with, and you didn't like that, because I think you felt like you maybe put me in the line of fire, which you did not. And you're right, I can't defend myself, but I'm sure that was part of why you jumped in. And
when it's in particular, just like anybody, it's your friend. You text with him all the time, you deal with him.
Right.
And then he's just attacking on social media. And I let it slide one time too, but then it's like, bruh, like, you can call me or something. Like, and so, but we don't mean to go off on this, but
one last final message.
Yeah.
One last final thing that I do want to say. And, you know, a lot of the Southern Miss socials are dominated by men. I mean, they just are. It's athletics, right? I mean,
that's why I wanted to do this.
Yeah,
I'm like, she got some good
normal.
stuff.
But there are women who are interested and who are a part of it, and I happen to be one of them. And the one thing that I do want to say is that second time that it happened, which was on Facebook, the guys decided to go very, very, very low, and they decided to make a post calling me a fatty. And so, the one thing that I want to say about that is that as a woman, first of all, that if a guy has to go to your appearance, you've clearly won the conversation, right? He knows he's beat. He's just trying to go to something that they know is an Achilles heel, unfortunately, for a lot of women. And as a woman, speaking to the women out there, all that I want to say is that if you got a dude like those douchebags in your life that choose to talk about women that way, you got the wrong dudes in your life. So, listen, I am not skinny. I haven't been skinny my entire life. No, I don't need you to defend
I'm
me.
gonna get off here.
I don't need you to defend me.
No, I wasn't. I wanted to.
I am not skinny, and I have never been skinny. But, if you're a guy out there that thinks that the only way a woman can be beautiful is if the number inside her jeans is small, then all I'm going to say is you're just as small. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you don't like the way I look, stop looking, right? That is my answer. You don't like the way I look, don't freaking look, because I ain't going anywhere.
Because she knows they got a ton of men out there, including me, a strong, beautiful woman with curves in all the right places, and that's how I look at it. So
even if they were in the wrong places,
hundreds of
don't freaking look.
Million.
I happen to have married one of the most beautiful men to ever play on the athletic teams around Southern Miss, so I'm doing something right. So take that, Mr. I'm fat.
I appreciate that.
And with that,
that's done. I appreciate that. So, but I just want to hit on that because it's like there is a tiny part out there of just every fan base, and if this goes out to other fan bases, man, it's comical to me.
You don't like it, don't watch.
And it sticks out like a sore thumb. And the people that came in like, what? To these, whatever. We're gonna go on.
I'm not going anywhere.
But but the problem is, one thing you just said something that triggered me. You are going somewhere, and you're leaving this house for a week to visit St. Louis, and you won't be around here to keep me organized, to keep me mentally straight, to keep my soul figured out. So I got to go about this thing at the house somehow all by myself. You think we can do this?
I know. So yeah, I'm getting ready to head back to St. Louis. I've got a couple of things there. My brother, my sister-in-law have had twins recently, and so I'm going to get to spend some time with those two and my other nieces and nephews that are in the area. See my kids, of course, which I always miss desperately, and then my best friend is actually having to go have a little medical procedure done. So I'm going to take care of her for a while up there too. So yes, it's always funny because, I am the more organized one in this family, and I kind of keep the ship running along, but I always know, like, when I leave, like, that the ship goes to shit.
Like the last time this had happened, you left and I was with the kids and we had about 2 hours to get back, and literally it was like, kids, holy shit, straighten everything up. This crept up on me before, 2 hours till Angela's back. We got to get this organized. We've got dishes stacked like Legos, in there, and disorganization. So I got the dishes. Grace, Max, you walked in like, oh, the place is nice. And I'm like, yeah, we've been like that the whole time.
It's funny because I'm pretty observant. Like it's just my personality. So, anytime I come back, I can always notice, like, the things that are a little bit different, like, they're a little out of place, or it's not quite the way I left it. And I'm like, well, I know that they didn't move that on purpose. Like there had to have been a reason. So I know there's always some marshantigans going on when I...
Yeah, that's why another thing, when we first got together and you came into my house, which had turned into a single guy cave, this nice house. And I'm like, she ain't gonna like me for this alone. Like when I say the Kennys during my single time were disorganized chaos, I mean, That's an understatement. I'm like, we'll get to the dishes when we get to them. And they're like over the sink, like on the sides and things like that. And that one had to soak, like the pot's got to soak for a week because it's too hard to scrub.
For a week.
But yeah, we'll manage a house with, I'll probably call you like, how do I do this? How do I do that or something? I'm sure I will.
And you'll miss me.
Oh, well, the biggest,
more importantly,
let's stop with the
miss me.
jokes. I'll miss her. I mean, damn, like, literally, it's to the point, like, I don't even want to do things without you.
No.
Because anybody that's looking to get settled down, you know, the love, the heat, the passion, all that stuff's important. But damn it, I literally found my best friend. I just want to do things with you, and then we'll do all the loving on top of that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm going to be the same way. I'll be in St. Louis, and of course, it's always fun when I get to go back because I'm trying to squeeze in, you know, seeing and doing all the things that I miss when I'm not there. And I do miss it. I love being here, but I do miss it. But
you got awesome family.
The part that's missing is always you and the kids.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to get so passionate about it right there. Some people shut that off. Oh, so the Kennys they're making out on air.
And we are actually going to get to do a couple of days in New Orleans before I have to head out.
Yeah,
we just celebrated an anniversary, and we didn't really get to celebrate, and just due to situations all year long, starting with you having your hurting your knee. We just really haven't been able to do a whole lot this year, and so we're at least going to take a couple of days before I fly out to go celebrate our anniversary. And there's actually a couple people coming down from St. Louis that we'll get to spend a little bit of time with.
That's another thing too. I'm a big baby, so when she saw it full force, I tore my patella tendon playing basketball with dads, and like that first 2 weeks, I thought you were going to take the crutch or something and just. I'm like, the pain. Like, I don't survive a cold, like the man flu thing, everybody jokes. Like, oh my God, we'll talk about that for another episode. But like, I am the survivor of man flu. I am a survivor. I'll just leave it like that. So, but this has been fun. I hope you like, learned about the Kennys and stuff. Learned my depression and possible break from sobriety with Southern Miss football. So, but
a little more about us, a little less about athletics. But honestly, I kind of feel like that everybody in Southern Miss Nation they're sort of ready for a fun break.
Yeah, and basketball's coming up. So keep your spirits up. Love you. Southern Miss to the top, everybody.
I feel like there's going to be a lot to talk about with football too in the coming weeks. It's
absolutely
just
something.
Not this week.
Something. So
it's not this week.
But thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time.